Imagine waking up to your bed shaking like it's possessed. This is exactly what happened in Colombia when a 7.4 magnitude earthquake tore through the country. Now, let me tell you, this isn't just another headline. It's a story of human fragility, systemic neglect, and the terrifying power of nature. I mean, 132 dead, 570 injured, and entire hospitals collapsing? That's not just a disaster, it's a wake-up call. But here's what really gets me. This wasn't even the strongest quake in Colombia's history. The 1979 earthquake was just as bad, yet we are still building homes on shaky ground. What does that say about our priorities? Let's dive deeper. You know, the epicenter was in Choco, one of the poorest regions in Colombia. Over 2/3 of the population lives in poverty there. And guess what? Getting aid to that area requires a 5-hour boat ride from the nearest port. That's not just inconvenient, it's a death sentence for people trapped in rubble. I'm not saying this to villainize anyone, but when you've got a region that's already struggling with violence from armed groups and a lack of infrastructure, how do you even begin to prepare for a disaster like this? It's like trying to build a dam with a leaky bucket. Now, let's talk about the hospitals. A pediatric and neonatal ward collapsing? That's not just a structural failure, it's a moral failure. Imagine being a parent, knowing your child is in a building that just crumbled. How do you process that? And yet, some of the buildings that survived had anti-earthquake systems. So what's the takeaway here? It's not just about luck. It's about who gets to afford safety. Older buildings without modern systems are the ones that fall, and those are often the ones housing the most vulnerable. This isn't just about engineering, it's about inequality. Here's something that really boggles my mind. The EU is using satellites to help with rescue efforts, and the US is throwing $15 million at the situation. But how much of that money actually reaches the people who need it most? I'm not naive, I know aid is essential. But I also know that international responses often get bogged down in bureaucracy. What if the real problem isn't the earthquake, but the systems that failed to protect people in the first place? This isn't just a natural disaster, it's a reflection of how we prioritize resources and resilience. And let's not forget the survivors' stories. One guy compared the shaking to The Exorcist. That's not just a metaphor. It's a visceral reminder of how utterly helpless we are in the face of nature's wrath. But here's what's even more chilling. Many of these survivors live in cities that were built without considering seismic risks. How do you rebuild a society when the very ground beneath you is unstable? It's like trying to fix a sinking ship while it's still in the ocean. Now, I want you to think about this. This earthquake happened just over a month after Venezuela's disaster. Different plates, different depths, but both tragedies highlight how vulnerable these regions are. Yet, while Venezuela's quake was a surface-level nightmare, Colombia's was deep underground. That depth might have saved some lives, but it also meant the tremors felt farther and lasted longer. It's a reminder that no matter where you are, the earth can't be tamed. We are all just temporary guests here. So, what's next? Well, the immediate focus is on rescue operations, but the real work starts after the rubble is cleared. Will there be accountability for the buildings that collapsed? Will there be investments in safer infrastructure? Or will this become another statistic buried under the next headline? I'm not sure, but one thing is certain: this earthquake isn't just a moment in time. It's a mirror held up to our failures, and maybe, if we are lucky, a chance to do better.